Okay, we're going to be doing social validity today. I know this is one that we kind of hit home with. I just think it's so important, especially for our VIPs and their families and society at large. Hint, hint. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, social validity. I did update the PowerPoint to include some more recent information, so it's not the same one you guys seen again and again, but it is new. It has some newer slides. So let's get into it. Social validity. So what is social validity? Well, it's a degree to which the VIP finds our involvement acceptable. And it's a subjective measure. So we want them to feel happy working with us. We want them to enjoy what we're doing with them. We want them to, of course, benefit from our interventions and the eventual outcomes. And I just love this quote in my reading. And this is a new quote to the PowerPoint. Clients, including the parents and guardians of dependent people, and even those who taxes support social programs, must admire the goals, outcomes, and methods of an intervention. And really, I think that really hits home to what social validity is all about, right? That we want the people we work with, their caregivers, their guardians, and if society at large found out what we were doing, that they would admire what we are working on. And I think if we could think about that and choose goals with that in mind, we'd have a very successful time providing behavior supports. And we see it time and time again when there's strong social validity. That's when we make a real difference in our VIPs' lives. Any questions about it so far? Okay. Social validity again. So what we're asking is, does the VIP, the caregiver, and society at large find our work meaningful, right? That's what we kind of are hitting at here. That's what social validity is all about. And we're interested in 3 different areas. In our goals, so our program goals, our mastery criteria program goals. We want our VIPs, their guardians and caretakers to find, and society at large, to find our goals meaningful, find their goals important. In our interventions, so what interventions we're using in the treatment plan, our VIPs, stakeholders, and society at large should find them meaningful. And what's a good way to kind of review our interventions with our stakeholders and VIPs? Yeah, reviewing the behavior support plan with them, right? After we develop it, we're going to review before implementation. This is what I have planned. Is this what you guys find meaningful? Is this what you guys find important? So we want to make sure we're reviewing the behavior support plan with the caretakers and the VIPs themselves. And then finally, in our eventual outcomes. So as we're working with our VIPs, we want them to find what we're doing very impactful for their life. So when we have finally completed treatment on a particular goal, that they found that outcome very meaningful. So we're interested in kind of 3 groups of people: the VIP, the guardians or the caretakers, the treatment team, DSPs, and society at large, if they found out. And I often think, someone told me this, I think it was in the RBT training, so not directly, but someone told me, like, if we put your work on TV, would America find your work meaningful? And I think that hits home the really nice part of that last sentiment about the society finding our work meaningful. And then in our eventual, and then those 3 areas, our goals, our interventions, and in our outcomes. So areas to assess social validity. And we talked about this. Are the specific behavior program goals, mastery criteria, really what society wants? The VIP, the important people in the VIP's life, and society at large. So we talked about this already. Do the participants, caregivers, and other VIPs consider the treatment procedures acceptable? So again, the interventions we're using, do they find them acceptable? And we are interested in skill improvement interventions and our reduction interventions. And then finally, are the VIPs, the stakeholders and society satisfied with the results of treatment, which should be significant positive life changes. Okay. So why is it important to have strong social validity? Well, I'm going to tell you. The VIP is more likely to stick with treatment. So when we have strong social validity, and even Nicole mentioned this morning, she's having some trouble with an intervention going on. So what's she doing? She's going right to the source, right to the VIP, and going to ask about her input, ways that she can improve her interventions, which can only lead to better social validity. So nice job. VIP is more likely to stick with treatment. Pretty important for our work. It's going to lead to better outcomes. When we get the VIP, the stakeholders' input, we're going to develop important outcomes that are important for them. And when a goal is important for me, those are the things I'm going to put effort into or work hard to achieve. And of course, they're going to talk to people, other families that are in situations like their own. And they're going to let them know. Reaching Beyond Limits really paid close attention to making sure the social validity was strong. And maybe they won't say it that way, but that's what they really mean when they say reaching beyond limits. That's who you want to work with. So social validity is a great place to start with your VIPs. This is where it all starts. Any questions about social validity? Okay, so how do we go about this in our work? How do we use it to our advantage? Where do we start? Building rapport with families. Right? We want to develop and I often say that our relationship is our foundation of all our work. All the work that we're going to be doing starts with this rapport building. And it doesn't, after we develop rapport, it doesn't end. We have to keep doing what? Keep doing it. And we call that repairing, right? We call that repairing. It's not like, and I often think and I thought for a long time repair, like a car repair. But no, they mean repair, right? The pairing part. We're doing it again and again and again, repairing. So building rapport with families. By pairing yourself as what? Pairing yourself, go ahead. Yeah, and a positive reinforcer, right? Absolutely. We want to be that. We want to signal good things are coming. We want to be that SD for reinforcement that signals all the good stuff. And we see that with our VIPs. We walk into the program, what happens?
They welcome us.
Yeah, the people that we have a relationship with, they want our attention. They run up to us. They want to see us. They want to interact with us. That's a great sign. And we call that approaching. That's a great sign that you are paired as a positive reinforcer with that person. And we're going to do a whole training about building rapport later. Communicate about, I hope there's more, issues that affect safety, health, and well-being. So I'm going to talk to the VIP. I'm going to talk to their stakeholders. I'm going to talk to the DSPs about issues that affect safety, health, and well-being of this VIP. I'm going to find out areas that I can help them through this process. And I'm going to communicate about potential risks and side effects of treatment. With using reinforcement is what we prioritize, but there could be other risks for treatment that a BCBA would review with you. And ultimately, what we're trying to uncover is the ultimate outcome of treatment. And when we have the ultimate outcome of treatment, it's kind of like I look at it as this big umbrella that kind of covers the rest of our treatment as we start narrowing it down. So the ultimate outcome of treatment, and we're going to talk about that on the next slide. Do you have any questions? So the ultimate outcome of treatment. What is it? What is it all about? It's the purpose of behavior services, right? So when we go out to work with the VIP and we're talking to them about their goals, what they want for their lives in the future, what they want for themselves, I'm thinking in my head, ultimate outcome of treatment. What does this person find meaningful? Where do they want me to focus my efforts? And it's going to be the purpose of my involvement with this family, the ultimate outcome of treatment. Their life changes based on the individual's preference. It's not my preference, but what the VIP wants for themselves, what the stakeholders, the family wants for their VIP. And what would society want from us? What would society want for this individual? Wow, that animation didn't work quite right. They're broad goals. They're broad goals, not specific target behaviors. They're broad goals. And again, they're what the VIP wants to accomplish. And think about how when we come up with an ultimate outcome, how it helps with the selection of skill acquisition goals and then target behaviors. And how does that happen? How could we give an example how this could happen? I have one, if no one else wants to give an example. And maybe you would after I give my example. I was working with the VIP, and we talked about what he wants for himself in the future. And like I had him close his eyes and visualize what his life would be like 2, 3, 4 years from now. And this VIP told me that he would like to drive a motorcycle. This VIP told me that he would like to work as a mason. And I tell this story often, so I see some smiles. But I just love that because then I was able to come up with an ultimate outcome for this individual. And what ultimate outcome could we have come up with, knowing that information now?
Get a job.
Yes, get a job. Who said that? Brandon? Thank you, Brandon. Get a job. Could be. Get a job as a... Go ahead. What else?
We'll look for programs for him that would help him get into a trade.
Yes, look for programs like schools or technical places. Who said that? Thank you, Jillian. Yes, so those could be great ultimate outcomes, right? That we could think about for our VIP. So I'm taking that ultimate outcome and I'm narrowing it down. And I'm narrowing it down into behaviors that could lead them to that ultimate outcome. So speaking about my example, and we're thinking about an ultimate outcome of getting a job, getting employment as a mason, perhaps. What are some behaviors that would be important for us to target for acquisition? Reading could be one, right? We have to read manuals. What else? Learn how to drive is another one to get to your job site, perhaps. That could be important for the VIP. Building a resume would be very important target behavior that we could target for that. What else? What were you saying, Nicole?
Like social skills.
Social skills. Yeah, interactions. How about listening to the boss? Following listener responses, right? That would be an important target.
Arrive on time.
Time management skills. So we see how our ultimate outcome leads down a path to target behaviors that we could help the VIP with in our behavior support plan. And I'm going to do a full assessment. I'm not just going to break out these target behaviors right away. I'm going to do a full assessment. I'm going to see where they're at right now. And I'm going to help them by pushing them along, by guiding them along, using my evidence-based practices. And that's our other training. I don't want to get into the functional behavior assessment, but that is what I would be doing that along with this whole process. And finally, we're looking for targets for acquisition, for skills we want to teach. And also, no one mentioned this, what would be important on the job for our VIP not to do? What should we not be doing at work?
On the cell phone.
Okay, yeah, okay, good. Very good, Sue. That's right. On the cell phone. Any maladaptive behaviors, right? So what if we're working with the VIP and he's engaging in aggression? Well, that would be very bad on the job if he engaged in that behavior so that would be a very important skill to reduce. So we have skills for acquisition and we also have targets for reduction. that we would put in our behavior support plan that eventually we hope would lead them to their ultimate outcome of getting a job. Does anyone have any questions about how we go about that? Does it make sense? So I think it's beautiful because I don't need to come up with a lot here. I just guide them down this path. And they tell me what they want to do. Right? They tell me what's important for them. And that's what I focus on. And think about why it's important. VIPs will be more likely to stick with treatment because they're the ones who told us that's what they want to work on. How many times in life have we been told to do certain things? And we're like, man, yeah, right, man. But when it comes from us, we want to get those goals accomplished, right? When it comes from us. So that's what this idea is all about. Any questions about that? We're going to talk about that idea a little bit more later. Okay, there's acquisition targets we mentioned, and then, yeah, I need to fix the animation on this slide. Skill deficits taught to improve the learner's quality of life. And then reduction targets we talked about. Problem behaviors that interfere with the consumer's quality of life. Okay, let's continue. So what are the criteria for an outcome? Yeah, this one, because it's like this, it can't be animated that I could figure out. So the criteria is for outcomes. Well, they need to be socially significant. They need to be of social importance. Those are the outcomes we want to be working on. They need to be contextually appropriate for their VIP. They need to be reachable, and they need to be measurable. So, for instance, back to our getting a job, well, that's pretty social for an adult. That's pretty socially significant. That's contextually appropriate to have an adult have a job. Is this VIP able to work at a job? Well, he currently works at a job. So I would say, yes, this is a reachable goal. And is it measurable? Do we know for certain when this person gets this job or not? Yes or no? Yes, right? So it is measurable. So this would be a good criteria for outcome. Here's another one, and you tell me what we're missing, maybe, or if it's good. This is an example of an outcome, perhaps, but let's look at the criteria, and you tell me what it might be missing. This is an outcome, being the best I can be. So we're going to ask, is it socially significant to be the best I could be? Yes, yes, yes it is. So that checks that box. Is it contextually appropriate? Yes. Is it reachable? And is it measurable?
Depends on what you're considering the best of you to be.
So we have some problems with it.
You have to dig deeper. I mean, that would
Yes.
be the starting point.
Yes, we have to dig deeper and come up with a goal that meets the criteria, that's reachable. This goal is missing being reachable. Because what does being the best I can be mean? How do I reach that? How do I know I reached it? And then measurable. How do I measure being the best I can be? It's kind of confusing to think about. Here's another one. Child learning to wash windows. Is it socially significant?
Yes.
Why? It teaches skills, but we're talking about a child here.
Well, how old?
We're talking about a 4-year-old child.
Doing chores, responsibilities as a job,
How
like
old?
at home to help out.
Guys, this is not socially significant. Can you imagine we go into a case and we're like, this person, we want them to be cleaning the entire house and doing all the yard work and doing my laundry. That's what I want you guys to work on.
But what age? Like what? Because I think I can do that. Like I have a checklist and everything.
I mean,
we measure it based on the level of that child's ability. So let's say mom is cleaning the house every Saturday. Little Johnny comes up next to her and she says, okay, I'm going to do this part and you're going to do this part, at a reasonable pace, just to kind of give him something to work towards. Be that, I don't know, a buck for
Yeah. Well,
Can't get it 'cause it's
guys, I understand that. I understand you guys you have kids of your own and you want them to do chores. I get it. I hear you. I would love for my son to do chores. I'm thinking though, like a very young child, and we come into a case and the family's like, we want your focus to be on teaching them to wash windows. To me, that is not socially significant behavior that we should be focusing our energy on. Is it contextually appropriate for a child to be washing windows? No. No, not at all. Is it reachable? It's kind of funny if you think about it. Like able to reach the window. No, I don't mean like that. Yes, it's reachable, and is it measurable? He could reach the window, and it is reachable for this person that he could learn how to do it. And is it measurable?
Yes.
Yes, but it's missing the first two criteria. There's a list here. I just want to see if I want to say any of the other ones. Okay, here's one. Is this an example of an outcome? Making the Olympic bobsled team. Well, was it socially significant? Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's socially significant. Is it contextually appropriate? I mean, it really depends on the person. But I'd say if this is what they wanted to do, then perhaps reachable and measurable really depends on the person. So that would be an example of an ultimate outcome as well. Do you guys have any questions about these outcomes? What would be an example of an ultimate outcome that you think would follow all of these requirements? Okay, getting a job again.
Living on your own.
Living on your own. Getting a job. Graduating from school. Getting a driver's license. Losing 30 pounds. I think they do. Do you guys have any questions about outcomes? Using the restroom independently, showering independently, responding to police officers, waiting in line, checking insulin levels are all examples of potentially socially significant target behaviors. Okay, let's continue. So prioritizing goals. So we're going to be talking, we're going to be chatting, we're going to find out the ultimate outcome of treatment. And then we're going to think about prioritizing our goals. What we should be working on first. Behavior cusps. What are behavior cusps? What are they? You guys know. Any guesses?
The way they should behave in a certain situation.
Well, kind of. Behavior cusps are behaviors that would lead to a huge amount of reinforcers. And think about a baby when we think about behavior cusps. What are important behaviors that a baby learns that now they could access a whole new world of reinforcers? Talking, right? Walking too. Walking and talking. Right? They're both behavioral cusps there. So if we could teach our VIPs to communicate, to be a speaker, as B.F. Skinner would say, what do they have access to then? Everything, yeah. Everything. The whole audience of the community. They can now interact at the store. They can now interact with peers. They can now get around. They can now get things they need. So language is a huge behavioral cusp. Talking is huge for our people, for everyone, for all of us. Right? So that should be a very important skill that we want to make sure is in our behavior support plan, helping someone communicate their wants and needs especially. What's another behavioral cusp? We talked about walking. What can we access when we learn to walk? Everything, right? We could go anywhere. We could do anything, right? Right? So behavioral cusps are, what are some other examples? Go ahead.
Initiating social interactions.
Okay, and social interactions could be a great behavioral cusp that we should prioritize. Anything else? Think about how if I teach this behavior, now they could really access a whole new world of reinforcement. You have another one?
Reading.
Reading, so huge, right? Now they could do magazines, get a driver's license perhaps, read the signs, read a book.
Follow directions.
Follow directions, do tasks, yeah, follow directions from IKEA. Go ahead. Cooking, so good, right? We're teaching someone to cook. Now they could feed themselves, right? They don't have to rely on going out to eat. They can make their own healthy meal at home. Very important. So a lot of behavior cusps because it leads to so much reinforcement. Let's see what's next. And like we said, they're important targets for acquisition, right? These are important behaviors that we're teaching because they allow more efficiency in learning. When we teach someone to read, now their learning could really skyrocket. They're reading books, reading journal entries, they're online, they're learning a ton of stuff, right? When someone's talking, wow, now they can figure stuff out, they can meet their needs. And like I said, it helps the individual access a new world of reinforcers. So these behavioral cusps are important for us to consider and prioritize when we're choosing target behaviors and goals for our treatment plan. And like I said, it helps us prioritize behaviors, right? Systematically select behaviors and outcomes that are important to the individual. So we talked about this. And it's not things that I find important again, guys. It's things that my VIP, their stakeholder in society would find important. You know, going in on a case, many times people would, teaching someone to be able to meet their wants and needs through communication would drastically reduce problem behaviors. You think I'm going to get some buy-in if I talk about this idea with the VIPs and their stakeholders? Yes, probably, most likely. That's right. We can use a rating scale. We can have a bunch of goals listed that we think would follow their ultimate outcome and have this VIP, the stakeholders, rank each goal. And tell us what they find most important. What would they want to work on first? And a normative comparison. And the way I think about this is normal. And a normative comparison is what's normal for people in the environment. So what environment are they in? What's typical behaviors that are going on in that environment? Can I prioritize those? Is very important to help my VIP. What's normal for their age? Like back to our washing window example for a 4-year-old. Go ahead.
Like a big one I see is like adults listening to like baby music.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. We have like adults that we would want to, and it could be about their preference. So, and Brandon and I work with the guy that loves to watch Barney. We try to slowly expose him to more age appropriate stuff, but he just loves that Barney, man. So we're right back to it, But I'm trying to give him some variety in life, try to put on that Lady Gaga form and things like that. It's true, we do. We're just trying to expose him to some more things, and he is kind of into it, but we're always kind of back to Barney. But yeah. So yeah, normative comparison. What's normal for their age? Does what we're working on impact the VIP's performance in these areas? So if we teach someone to speak, are they going to be more successful while at day program? Well, most likely, yes, they will be, right? Any questions about prioritizing goals? Okay. So this is another way we can assess our social validity. While we're doing the procedures, while we are doing our behavioral support work, we are looking for indices of happiness. And what does that mean? What does indices of happiness mean?
Signs of being happy.
Yes. Signs of the person being happy when we're working with them. Observable behaviors that indicate a positive emotional state. Of course, we have this very scientific definition for this. But what we're looking for is the person is happy they're working with us. They're smiling. They're laughing. They're approaching us. They enjoy being around us. So this could be a great way that you have strong social validity in what you're doing. That when you're doing it, the person's happy. They're happy to be your involvement in their case. And it's used to assess the social validity of interventions and provide insight into promoting a better quality of life. Right? So even our non-vocal individuals that we work with and nonverbal intervention people that we work with that we're trying to develop language skills for, these could be great ways to assess that what we're doing is important for the individual. Because they enjoy working on it. They're showing us through their emotions that they are happy with what we are doing with them. And that's a great sign that we're on the right track and have strong social validity. Any questions about indices of happiness? Just another way to assess what we're doing. So how does it apply to our work in our behavior support plan? Well, this is how. We're going to start with the ultimate outcome of treatment. What is our ultimate goal of treatment, which is the purpose of our involvement with the VIP? And where am I getting this information from? Our FBA. And who am I? Who? The individual, the stakeholders. And thinking about society at large. That's how I'm going to get to my ultimate outcome. And the ultimate outcome is that umbrella that covers all my other things I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with that ultimate outcome. And they're broad, and our life changes based on the individual's preference and broad goals. Right? We know that. We've mentioned that several times already. They're not specific changes in behavior, but specific objectives. Specific changes in behavior would be our target behaviors that fall underneath. So these are some examples we'll keep in mind. Maintain a healthy lifestyle is one. So if we have an ultimate outcome of maintaining a healthy, well, let's continue. We'll come back to that idea in a minute. And the criteria, like we mentioned before, socially significant, contextually appropriate, reachable, and measurable. So thinking about maintaining a healthy lifestyle, the next step may be to develop an intermediate outcome or a goal that kind of follows underneath the ultimate outcome. So what could be an intermediate outcome for maintaining a healthy lifestyle? Okay, exercise. And I would just say like increasing exercise. And then our target behavior could be what? Exercise 3 times a week, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you see how I took this maintain healthy lifestyles and I'm slowly narrowing it down and I had an intermediate outcome. What if we change that intermediate outcome? What could another intermediate outcome that could fall under maintain healthy lifestyles that's not about exercise?
Eating vegetables and fruits.
So yeah, we're gonna improve our diet. So we have maintain healthy lifestyles, intermediate outcome, improve our diet, improve the VIP's diet. And what's the target behavior that falls underneath that category? You said it?
Eating fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, eating maybe 5 fruits and vegetables daily. Could be a target behavior that we're going to work on. How about graduate from high school? What's an intermediate outcome that could fall under graduate from high school? Yes, improve study skills could be an intermediate outcome. And what would that look like? What is the target behavior we're working on or the goal we're working on that falls under that intermediate outcome?
The target behavior?
Yeah, the target behavior.
It could be practicing or studying with the behavioral specialist twice a week.
Wow, yeah, cool. Okay, very nice. So you're going to study twice a week for a certain amount of time on session. Very nice target behavior. So what's another intermediate outcome that could fall that doesn't relate to studying for graduating high school? Yeah, I thought the same thing too. Showing up, improve. And how can we say that in a more kind way?
Tolerating class.
Yeah, I was just thinking like improve school attendance or something like that, right?
Better time management.
Yeah, so I like that intermediate outcome for this person. And it's very specific to what the VIP needs and what they want to work on. So what would be a target behavior for that intermediate outcome?
Set their alarm every morning.
It could be. It could be.
Earlier at night.
It could be that. Yeah. Setting an alarm. It could see how like all these targets.
Their clothes before the night before. So
Okay, great target behavior. Great target behavior. And I think, target behavior could just be arriving to arriving to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. Could be a target behavior that we're working on for that. Okay, good job, you guys. Finally, we have get a job. And we talked about this, everyone, already. We talked about this. So what's an intermediate outcome of maybe getting a job?
resume.
Yeah. So we're going to improve resume building skills. And what's the target behavior that we could work on for that? Reading. We're going to read a certain amount? Yeah, it could be. It could be.
Doing practice resumes with the behavior specialist or RBT.
Yeah, doing practice resumes. Doing practice interviews. Yeah. Right? Do some role playing, right? So we're going to practice interview skills 3 times a week. 80% of opportunities. You guys come up with an ultimate outcome for me now. You guys tell me one.
What do you want to accomplish?
Whatever. Me? Just make one up.
You want to wash windows?
I don't want to wash windows. What's an ultimate outcome that we would want to work on with our VIP? Just make something up. Go ahead.
10 more social functions.
What was it?
Like 10 more social functions, like go to things in the community.
Okay. Oh, attend. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Attend social functions. Yes. So an ultimate outcome for that could be what?
Increase socialization.
Increase socialization, increase community participation, something like that. What's an intermediate outcome for that? And guys, you might not always need an intermediate outcome.
Join a social group.
Okay, joining social groups, exploring social groups. And then what is the target behavior that would lead to that?
That the individual will attend a social group.
Okay, yeah, maybe like a couple times a week, something like that.
I mean, it may take a while to find one that they're interested in, so maybe practicing going to different ones to see which one you like.
Yeah, I like that too. How about we're going to get online and just like explore some different ones at first. Maybe that could be a good target behavior, right? So good job, you guys. Do you guys have any questions about how we take this ultimate outcome and slowly break it down into target behaviors? And no one's mentioned to me a maladaptive behavior that we might consider for these goals. What would be a maladaptive behavior that might interfere with getting
Verbal aggression.
verbal aggression? Yeah, all of these, right? Verbal aggression really might hurt our ability to graduate from high school, and we've all remembered someone in school that had these tendencies to be upset with the teachers. I'm glad you guys don't treat me that way. Thank you. Right? So that could be an important goal that we prioritize for this individual, that we're trying to reduce verbal aggression for this person. Right? Throw in the broccoli. We'll get him a job working in...
I don't want these branches.
Yeah.
These branches.
So we're going to take those ultimate outcomes and we're going to narrow them down to possibly intermediate outcomes if it makes sense. Guys, I see a lot of people struggle with the intermediate outcome sometimes. If you can't come up with an intermediate outcome very naturally, don't use one. Go from the ultimate outcome right to the target behaviors, right? But if you think about it, when we have improve a healthy lifestyle, we can see how the intermediate outcome, one could be eating right, the other one is exercising, right? And another one could be sleeping right. You know, we could come up with a bunch of different avenues for this ultimate outcome with the VIP's involvement, which would lead to totally different target behaviors. So just another way to narrow down and categorize what we are working on. Okay? And I think in the next section we kind of break this down again. Behavior support plan. So we talked about this. Intermediate outcomes, eat a balanced diet, and that's to maintain healthy healthy lifestyle. Develop study skills, that's graduate high school. And develop interview skills was the intermediate outcome I came up with, getting a job. And then the target behaviors I came up with for eating a balanced diet is eat 7 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. That seems like so much, but I think that's like accurate to like what America wants for us.
Oh my. It's serving size though, like it's.
Servings, yeah.
I guess
Oh, so maybe it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like 4 strawberries is like,
Is a serving.
yeah, right. Study for an hour 4 days a week is an example of develop study skills. And then develop interview skills for the job. Practice interviews with 3 different people. You guys came up with that one right on your own, so nice job there. Behavior support plan, that is how we utilize it. I believe that is the last slide, right? So do you guys have any questions about social validity and why it is important and how we use it in our work? Does it make sense? So start here, guys. Start here. Develop rapport with the family. Talk to them. Show interest. Listen. Active listening. And we'll get into a whole training on rapport as well. But develop that rapport. Get to know the family. Find out what they find that's important. You're on the right track for your behavior support plan then. When you're done with your behavior support plan, review it with them. Make sure that the procedures are okay. Make sure our program goals are okay. And then finally make sure our outcomes are okay. And also think, if I put my work on TV, all of this process, would society find this useful? Would society find our work important? And you know, they mentioned in the quote in the very beginning about taxpayers. Well, they are the ones that are funding our service. So we want them to find what we're doing important work, because they're essentially paying for us to do this work. And we are those taxpayers too. Social validity, guys, make sure you guys think about it when you're working with the VIPs and their families. Thanks so much. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll be around. Appreciate it.